On the 1st of November 1922, the British, along with the Saudis, destroyed the Ottoman Empire. Sultan Abdul Majid, the last caliph, was put on a horse cart, never to be seen again, one of the most darkest days of Islamic history. Straight after, Wahhabism prevailed, following 40,000 public executions and amputations of innocent Muslims. For centuries, the Kaaba, the cube in the center of Mecca, Saudi Arabia, that is Islam's holiest point, has been encircled by arch porticos erected some 3 centuries ago by the Ottomans, above dozens of carved marble columns dating back to the 8th century. But today, any vestiges of the porticos and columns have been reduced to rubble, cleared to make the way for the Saudi government's so-called expansionist agenda.
I'm surprised that it did not touch on the root cause of what's happening. The destruction of cultural heritage in the Middle East has been going on for over 100 years. Attacks on Karbala, on Najaf and other parts from the desert of Saudi Arabia has been going on for over 100 years. Since the 70s, the Saudis have systematically destroyed all the cultural heritage around Mecca, around Kaaba, yet unfortunately UNESCO did not even mention anything about that. Sana'a, which is inscribed at the heritage, of cultural heritage, is being destroyed as we speak.
Over the last few years, mosques and key sites dating from the time of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, have been knocked down or destroyed, as have Ottoman-era mansions, ancient wells and stone bridges. Over 98% of the kingdom's historical and religious sites have been destroyed since 1985. The Islamic Heritage Research Foundation in London said it's as if they want to wipe out history. Though the Saudi rulers have a long history of destroying historical sites, activists say the pace and range of destruction has recently increased. A few years ago, the house of Hamza, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him's uncle, was flattened to make way for a Meccan hotel. There have even been rumors and threats to Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him's tomb in Medina and his birthplace in Mecca.
Unser deutsches Volk Sieg heil! Sieg heil!
Prior to World War I, there was no Saudi Arabia. The Arabian Peninsula was divided into different regions such as Hijaz, Najd and Yemen. The region unoccupied by the Ottomans was called Najd. The Ottomans never found much logic in invading that region of Arabia because it comprised of mainly desert territory and barren of any known natural resources. By invading Najd, the Ottomans would have had to confront the native Bedouin tribes within that region, and they were of the opinion that it was not worth it. Why would they wage war over a barren land? The Ottomans probably knew the hadith of the Horn of Satan rising from Najd, Saudi Arabia.
Why the Muslim has to be the victims of the mistakes of the Wahhabis? You want to stop the problem around the world? Let Wahhabi to leave us alone.
Al-Azhar University declared that this was bid'ah and haram to abolish the Khilafah. And therefore we must respond to it. And the response of Al-Azhar is that we must have a mu'tamar, a conference, which would meet and which would appoint a new Khalifa. As soon as Al-Azhar issued this proclamation, you could see how Britain was trembling. The British government can't digest their food now. They've got to plan some counter strategy to the initiative of Al-Azhar University. The counter strategy is that Egypt is itself not a free country. It may appear free, but Britain really has control over Egypt. So Britain puts pressure on King Fuad, the father of King Farouk. You're too old to hear about, you're too young to know about this. And King Fuad is now putting pressure on Al-Azhar to hold back on this conference. So for 2 years the conference can't take place. 2 years because of British pressure. The conference finally takes place in June, July of 1926. But Britain uses another counter strategy. She gets Abdulaziz ibn Saud in Mecca to also convene a conference of the world of Islam in Mecca at the time of the Hajj, which is May of 1926. And then Britain and Russia and France and China and all the major powers in Europe all get to work. Massive intervention in the affairs of the world of Islam to ensure that the Cairo conference does not succeed in winning a representative gathering, and that the Mecca conference gets all the Muslims attending it. And they succeeded. The Cairo conference, organized by Al-Azhar University, becomes an essentially Arab conference.
The Ottoman Empire was one of the largest and long-lasting empires in history. It was an empire inspired and sustained by Islam and Islamic institutions. It replaced the Byzantine Empire as the major power in the Eastern Mediterranean. The Ottoman Empire reached its height under Suleiman the Magnificent, when it expanded to cover the Balkans and Hungary and reached the gates of Vienna. All this happened because Muslims were united. Today, with the establishment of Saudi Arabia, it's evident that all our countries globally have suffered. Yet, I still get messages from so-called Muslims saying Allah chose King Salman to be the protector of Mecca and Medina. I wonder which hadith do these people get their information from, because I've never read such a thing. The modern Turkish Republic was founded according to the Treaty of Lausanne in 1923, which concluded with the victorious allies in the First World War: Britain, Ireland, France, Russia and Italy. Britain developed a number of unfair and painful conditions to the rights of the Ottoman Empire. Britain forced the abolition of the Caliphate, exiled the Caliph and his family outside of Turkey, and then took all the Caliph's assets and made Turkey declare itself as a secular state. It also prevented Turkey from oil exploration and to consider the Bosphorus Strait, which links between the Black Sea and Marmara Sea and then to the Mediterranean, as an international corridor, and that Turkey is not entitled to obtain fees from ships passing through it. By the year 2023, this period of the treaty ends. Many political analysts are saying Turkey will get back its powers to be the leader of the Muslim world, ownership of the Middle East and Balkans, and the rights to use rich oil wells in Turkey. Turkey's president has said he wants to create a pious generation to change the nation, so the government is pouring more money into schools that teach Islamic values. Yes, Turkey is a part of NATO, however, leaving it abruptly can cause them more problems than any good. Turkey played a humanitarian role in Libya and did not fire a single bullet. Turkey hesitated to sign on the intervention in Libya. Turkey has had close economic ties with Libya and $15 billion in trade, investment and contracts. Yes, Turkey has also traded with Israel, but a lot of these deals were ongoing and prior to Erdogan. Many will say Turkey cannot be trusted. I think we need to also address this question whether Erdogan is the type of person who will betray his people. I don't think so. Turkey has been prickly with NATO because being testy with the alliance enables the Turks to win points with many countries in the Middle East and North Africa.